When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the MUGA podcast, the content kings of the Touchline Fracas podcast family. This evening, we're talking all things Wayne Rooney, and as a result, everyone's A, on time, and B, they've actually showed up. So I'm going to go around and introduce everybody this evening. Our special guest this evening, Rance. How you doing, Rance?
Yo, what's going on, bro? All good, fam.
Good. Happy to have you on, bro. Disu, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. Seb, you all right, mate?
Yeah, man. This is the podcast that I needed.
Yeah.
This is what I needed still. So
Elijah, I won't ask why you got the Qatar Airways background, but how you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. Obviously. Yeah, man.
Yeah. he clearly doesn't know.
Yeah, man. Wow.
He doesn't know either from the sounds of things. Finally, last but not least, Michael, how you doing, man?
I'm blessed, brother. How you doing, man?
Yeah, we're good. Everyone's healthy. Everybody's happy. Prem's coming back eventually, so you know we can enjoy. But before that, we're gonna talk about the main. Well, not necessarily the main man, but we're gonna have a little Wayne Rooney special. We're gonna talk about all the good, the bad, and the ugly of his time at Manchester United. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you, Seb, to open. I'll let you have the opening monologue, seeing as you're the card-holding member of the Rooney fan club.
I was looking at Rooney's goals today, and I just thought, fam, he's top 10 players of all time. He's got to be, bruv. He's got to be top 10 players of all time, bruv. He's got to be, bruv. Because, hey, listen, like, I think we were speaking about it in the chat, but, like, obviously, you know, we know Rooney bang goals, yeah, but the level of finishing on display is just a next level. Some of the finishes, like, we're still, like, nobody in our team's doing that right now. Do you know what I mean? Some of the level of finishes that Rooney was doing, the winners, the clutch goals, fam. I ain't gonna lie, man. Yeah, United, we're struggling. We need somebody like that right now. But yeah, after kind of just looking back at certain goals and certain winners, fam, Bolton and Newcastle earlier on, I don't know what agenda my man had against them, man. But bro, like them man were getting slapped up by Rooney. They were getting slapped up by Rooney.
Bolton did something to him still.
Bolton did something to my man because they were getting slapped up by Rooney left, right, and centre. And it was even interesting to see as his career progressed, he was scoring more goals against the big teams. Do you know what I mean? Which was quite interesting to see. Whereas, like, but then obviously, like, the Premier developed, and yeah, you actually see how he wasn't really like slapping up City, but them man were any guys like quite earlier on. And then as they kind of progress, you see the goals against City, you see the clutch goal, the overhead kick, all of these other things. And yeah, man, just a variety of finishes. Yeah, I don't think we'll see another English player like him.
Cool. All right. Let me on the back of that, let me reel off some of the stats. 559 games, 253 goals, 146 assists. Some of the individual honours that he picked up: PFA Player of the Year 2009-2010, Young Player of the Year 04, 05, 05, 06, Fans Player of the Year 05, 06, 09, 10. He was in a Team of the Year 3 times, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's actually a bit low when I think about the career he had. He won the league with us 5 times, the FA Cup once. He won the League Cup 3 times, the Community Shield 3 times, the Champions League once, the Europa League once, the FIFA Club World Cup once. Yeah, he won it all. Rants. I was expecting this to be a pod where everybody would be waxing lyrical about Rooney for the whole pod. And I did ask you guys to try and provide some balance, and thankfully you've come on to say you're not necessarily the biggest Wayne Rooney fan. So yeah, off the back of what Seb said and the stats I've reeled off for you, what's your gripe with Rooney?
I don't have a gripe, but you know what it is with me, yeah? I always like to try and be balanced when I look at things, innit? And I feel like, in general, English players are massively overrated, innit? And I think that when I rate my players in terms of when men are talking about all time and that, what you do internationally matters to me. What you do in the Champions League matters to me. Rooney's Champions League record ain't good enough, and his international record ain't good enough, bruv, like in major tournaments. These things matter to me, bro. You know what I mean? Because when man want to try dig out Henry and that and say, yeah, but man didn't score in finals and that, I'll be like, well, all right, cool. Man's got 2 World Cup goals, yeah? And it took man 12 years to touch Ruud van Nistelrooy's Champions League record that man clapped out in 4, blood. Like, it's not good enough, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? And when you look at, he did score bare goals, but I think that his record is down to longevity, bro. I honestly do. I think Rooney was washed at United 5 years before he left. You know what I mean? A man was taking pens and playing, getting shoehorned into centre mid and that. Like, he shouldn't be our top scorer because he shouldn't have been at the club. Do you know what I'm saying? So when man look at these things, like, I'm just keeping it 100, bro. Like, man averaged, like, what? 12 goals a season or something like that. Like, when you look at it, it's not great, bruv. It's like when man go and talk about records, bro, I'm saying, what did you do on average, innit? Like, man can look at certain strikers, I'll be like, all right, cool, Rude, 30 goal a season, average, cool. Say nothing. Can't argue with that. Even if it was 4 or 5 seasons, 30 goals, blood. Do you see what I'm saying? The Rooney thing, I just don't get it, innit? I think he's a great player, good servant to English football. I think he's very different to what England have had. He's probably the closest thing probably to like a Paul Gascoigne since Paul Gascoigne. I get it. He's a different kind of footballer. Do you know what I mean? In England, they're used to these stiff ballers, blood. And then Rooney comes through, he does something a bit different. Man get gassed, innit? But ultimately, yeah, man played for flipping, 13 years at the best club in the country that was going to win stuff with or without him, because we were, innit? Let's be honest. We were Man United. If we didn't sign him, we would have signed someone else and we would have still won stuff. Do you see what I'm saying? Man was still playing with Scholesy and them man there.
This is more than I expected.
No, but you know what I'm saying, bro?
Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at Man United and say he won stuff because of him. You know them ones.
Oh, that's harsh.
No, I don't. I look at a team that was good and he was a very good player in a good team anyway. Do you know what I mean? When we won the league with Van Persie, yeah, we had no right blood. That was a LeBron last season in Cleveland. Like, when man dragged them to the finals, man shouldn't have been there. You know them ones. That's what Van Persie done with United, bro. When man would play.
But that was a 2-man team though. Like, that's a certified 2-man team.
Hold on, my guy. Like, we were 2-0 down, yeah, and Van Persie's bagging hat-tricks and dragging.
Hat-tricks, I respect it.
From the gutter. You know the ones that the gutter. We had no business winning the league that year. Man, forget how bad we were because we won it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, we did have business winning the league that year because we only lost on goal difference the year before.
That Rooney done the Mazza, like, and scored bare goals for us, it didn't mean anything. But what I'm saying is, yeah, like, more times when we won these leagues and that, man had a good team, we were going to win it anyway. I never said that Rooney dragged us to the title. I've never felt like Rooney dragged man to the title. Do you see what I'm saying? I feel like we were a good team and he was a good player. But I don't feel like man dragged us. Like, he did that.
Cool. So you really honed in on the ugly there. Elijah's the one with the encyclopedic knowledge of all football history. So first thing that Rant said that had me feeling a bit funny is where he said, I couldn't really say Rooney was a key man in any of our titles. Elijah.
I didn't say key, but I didn't feel like man dragged us like on his own blood.
Well, okay, who can you say has dragged the team, bar Messi, who you really going to say dragged their team to winning a league title or winning any major honour, really?
Honestly, like, even when he said, top 10 of all time, yeah?
Yeah, that's Seb. You got to know Seb.
You can't listen to Seb about that, bro.
Thierry Henry, yeah? I can't put Rooney next to that man with a straight face. I can't. You know them ones? I can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
I can't do it either. I don't think anyone on here.
Well, there you go. So I'm saying Thierry Henry, some of the stuff he done for Arsenal, blood, I'd look at the whole Arsenal team and I'll see that youth with black gloves, yeah? And I'll think, you know what, blood? Man are in trouble today. And if he never got a trim, I was like, we're doubly in trouble. you know, like that. Like, there's certain man, when you look at them, you're petrified, bro. Like, bro, I didn't feel like...
And what, Rooney wasn't like that?
No, I wasn't.
That's
his whole career.
This has to stop now. This has to stop. Nah. This has to stop. Nah. You've gone too far. You've gone too far, man.
I had a 3 or 4 year period, yeah, where I felt like this guy's frightening, and then as soon as man fixed his hairline, he was dead to me.
Oh, boy.
Little ugly bald Rooney with the drawback and that, he was on smoke. And then when man got the hairpiece, he was done for me, blood.
After he got his hair transplant, he bagged 36 goals. Like, nah.
Bro, what? 1 season, bruv, when Ronaldo left.
Yeah, 1 season.
On man's head
One season where we lost on goal difference after we bottled it because our defense was stupid. We were 4-2 up versus Everton. We bottled it, which is not Rooney's fault.
That was horrible.
We bottled it versus Wigan. We bottled it in that City game away, which wasn't Rooney's fault. He was played up top by himself. Like Ferguson's tactics that game were horrible. He played Park. He hadn't played in like months. Like that season, and then 09-10, we let Rooney down because Rooney basically dragged us into a position where we should have won the league. Rooney in the Champions League, he scored versus Bayern Munich. We concede 2 late goals in the first leg. He gets injured. The next week he has to play on a mad injury in like the first 8 minutes. He can barely even walk. We go 3-0 up. We again concede in just before half time.
He's a criminal.
Because of Carrick, yeah. Rooney goes off and we lose because we go down to 10 men and then Robben scores. That's it. And then
unlucky then.
Yeah. You see, that's the thing. Those 2 seasons where Rooney scored 35 goals each, we were really unlucky. We lost the league by. No. Because but like you got like we lost the league by 2 points to a Chelsea team that broke the scoring record in the Premier League, and then we lose on goal difference. It
was 1 point, by the way. It was 1 point. It wasn't 2 points. It was 1 point.
No. Oh yeah, so it was even 1 point.
Job. That was a carry job, bro.
Come on, man. On period.
That was a carry job.
Like,
that was
period.
2 seasons were carry jobs.
That was really by himself with basically, and you have to remember, those teams were actually our worst
ass.
In that
2
time.
pack of ass.
So to take us to second, and this was a Chelsea team that spent big with they had Drogba and Nelka, Ballack, Lampard, Deco. They had depth, and then we came up against some City as well. They just bought Aguero. They had Nasri, Silva, Yaya Toure, company. These were against some mad teams, and Rooney basically took us to within the last game. And the worst thing is that even in the Chelsea season, Rooney was basically done from March. Like he basically didn't do anything from March, and we were still able to keep up with Chelsea. Nah, Rooney was let down in his 2 best goal scoring season by not having a good enough team, okay. and because of that, there's a perception around him that he was never good enough to be a main man. At the end of the day, you can be a main man and your team can still be dead. Suarez 12-13, he scored 35 goals. Liverpool finished 6th.
Yeah.
That even Van Persie the season before at Arsenal bagged. He scored 30 goals in the league. Arsenal just scraped top 4. Like you can be the main man if your team isn't good enough. You're not winning titles. And Rooney, like the thing is with Rooney is that he was such a good team player, and Sebi said it before. You have to look at his big game record. He's the top goal scorer for United versus City. He's the top goal scorer for United versus Arsenal as well. He bagged against Liverpool. He bagged against Chelsea. He loved to score versus Spurs. His best performance ever for United was versus Spurs. Like Rooney loved the big games. He scored in the Champions League final, League Cup final, that run he done in the FA Cup final.
Brother, when was losing.
Well. Like Rooney came clutch. Whatever was time, Rooney could come clutch. He was a key member in probably our greatest team ever. So in terms of performance, longevity, statistics, achievements, you cannot chat to Rooney as a United player. There's no player for me who can chat to him, period. And that's on
period.
Guy. That's what I'm saying.
That's on period.
You have a good record against all these men. It's 12 flipping years, bro.
Huh? No.
100, bro.
No.
Wow.
Man United longer than certain man have careers.
He used to take the piss out of Arsenal. He could have been at United for 5-6 years. He would still would have taken the piss out of Arsenal. He loved it versus Arsenal.
He loved it. He loved it.
Yeah. When we had Tevez, Ronaldo, and Rooney, yeah, we should have never let Tevez go. Them man shit.
Yeah, but Rooney was still.
Three of them.
No, absolutely not. Because no. Because if
Tevez was cold, bro.
Yeah, he was cold, but that.
And Ronaldo was cold. Rooney was the one that had to do for the rest of the man because he knew in his head that them.
No. Look,
no. I see. I wanted to touch on this. So hold on. Let's get some order back in the room, yeah. So Rance made the point about Rooney getting the top goal scoring record because he played for us for so long, and you've also touched on a good point there, Rance and Elijah, about Rooney being a team player who had to kind of play all over the pitch. But I think that's a credit to Rooney. I think, how many men do you know that can be your top scorer in the league and can also be a key cog playing out wide for your team where you're locking down people's team defensively and you're still a creative outlet for your team? There's a handful of players you're going to talk about with that being said. So what I wanted to go on to ask you lot about is, I think throughout his career, there were several Rooneys. There was the young 8 Rooney. He was raw, who had flair. He wasn't necessarily the most prolific, but he just went out there and wreaked havoc. And then there was the Rooney that became a bit more polished, who was like the number 9 goal scorer in Rooney. He had a couple of seasons of being really, really prolific. Then you had the Rooney who was a bit older, a bit wiser, wasn't as prolific, but he had that kind of perfect balance between being a guy who could score and a guy who create. Who was you guys? I'm going to go around the room here. Who was your favourite Rooney to watch? I'm going to start with you, Michael. Of all the Rooneys that we saw over his 12, 14 years, who was your favourite Rooney to?
I think the Rooney, like 07 to 2011, like I've split his career into like 4s, like 04 to 07, 07 to 11, 11 to 14, 14 to 17. And I'd say 07 to 11, I think he matured. That relationship he had with Tevez and Ronaldo was something else. Like when them three were on the pitch, I went into every game confident that these guys would do damage. And they had the way these three could work together as well. So definitely that Rooney. And in that period, that 09 to 10 season, as these guys alluded to, it showed that when he was the main man, when Tevez and Ronaldo jetted, he could step up. And he scored, I think, 27 league goals on about 34 in total. I mean, he didn't win the league that season, but it showed that he had the potential to. It's just unfortunate that he never did that on a consistent basis.
Cool. Who's your favourite Rooney of all the Rooneys that we saw?
Favourite, I would say the number 8 Rooney, because he was really, that was when he was at his most explosive, where you see him carrying the ball a lot more. You're seeing him beat players. You're seeing him pop all over the pitch. And I think a lot of his most audacious goals came in that period, whether there'll be solo runs, chips, just mad volleys.
The amount of lobs in that compilation vid, in that number 8.
And even still, he was still clutch. Like, man will cut inside. That goal against Arsenal, when it's like a diagonal ball, he takes the first touch and he slaps it into the net. That's one of my favourite goals. So I enjoyed that really because he was an all-action player and he was influential in all phases of play. And just a fast counter-attacking blend with Ronaldo as well was just so fun to watch. And he was clutch as well, big game performances. So that's my favourite version of Wazza still.
Seb, who was your favourite Rooney? You can only pick one, by the way.
Damn. Probably the 2011, 2012, just because it was something that people hadn't seen. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people knew Rooney was a very good player, and you know, even when he done that thing with Gary Neville, you know, when he'd watch the games and stuff like that, he always said to himself, yeah, his thing isn't really about playing, about scoring goals. He wanted to play well. He really wanted to get involved in a game. That's why you always see Rooney dropping deep and turning and running at somebody, because he was somebody that enjoyed like all aspects of the game and was an actual footballer rather than, he's a left winger or he's a striker or whatever. But when he went up top, and as Elijah said, carried us to even compete with that City team, which was an amazing City team at the time. It showed something different. He was told to stay within the 6-yard box, and just the variety of the finish. The headers as well was quite interesting. So that would probably be my favourite, because I think he showed something different than what everybody else was used to.
Cool. Rant, what was your favourite Rooney?
It's got to be the 8 Rooney, bruv. And you know what? The more I've never known why he never really just like I was never really like a massive fan of his like out of all the players that. And then I started to listening to you, like, and you know what it is? I just feel like man just weren't a specialist in anything. I think that's why, like for me, like there's so many different Rooney's blood, but the Rooney I liked was the number 8 Rooney, the fearless Rooney that picked up the ball, ran past people, tried mad things, and he looked mad creative, mad flair and that. And then, but he was only that guy for like 3 years, blood. And then after that, I wasn't really interested no more. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like, it's like he lost it. I think it's like he lost half a yard or something like that.
So when he was 21, you wasn't interested, yeah?
No, but I'm saying, like, you see, bruv, the most excited I've ever been, yeah, with Rooney, yeah, was probably, you see, before he got the injury at the Euros, yeah? That Rooney was on all kinds of smoke, and he was like, he'll punch up your nan in the supermarket. He was just unreal. That's what he was on. That Rooney had me excited, bro. And it's like, after that, I felt like he just lost a bit of fire, bro. Like in that period between 07 and like the 2010-2011 season, I feel like
efficient. He became an efficient kind of player. Yeah. But I feel like Fergie did that to him, and Ronaldo, where like Ronaldo was also another player who was like he used to want to do his step overs and do a bit, and like listen, all that stuff is cool, yeah. Get to the goal as quickly as you can and do the maximum damage.
But the thing is with Ronaldo, yeah, Ronaldo just came a specialist, yeah, at just posting numbers, innit? But with the whole Rooney thing for me, it was like, when I think about him, when he had that stint as a number 9, when I saw him, Rooney never looked like a number 9 to me. He didn't have like an Aguero, like the clinicalness of an Aguero about him. He had more to his game than that. Rooney was an all-rounder, innit? But then in the 10 position, when people drop deep, I like people like growing up. My favorite players were Eric Cantona, Dennis Bergkamp, like Zola. In the 10, he never had that about him in the 10. It was all in between. It's like he was a 9.5, a 10.5, like 11.5. Blood. Everything was all halves on that. You get me? When I watch Rooney, I'm like, what is your thing, blood? Like, cool. Like you're quick, you're strong, but like, what is your actual thing? Like when I compare him to Ruud van Nistelrooy as a finisher, nah. Do you know what I mean? When I compare him to Robin van Persie as a finisher, nah. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, what is your thing, bro?
Rooney's a better finisher than Van Persie. I'm sorry. He's a better finisher. Van Persie will miss more chances than Rooney. Rooney's more clinical than all of them. The difference between Rooney and Van Persie, Rooney won't get as many chances as Van Persie because Van Persie is a better all-round number 9. But in terms of finishing chances, Rooney, when Rooney goes for an goal, it's curtains, bro. Van Persie, you don't even know.
No. Don't know about any of that. I don't know about any.
No, Van Persie had those 2 seasons. Van Persie had those 2 seasons when it was curtains. But other than that, it was a bit higgy. Do you know what I mean? Like, we wasn't too sure.
See, the thing is,
Van Persie could slap the ball, could slap the ball in the net, and it looked cool in it. But if you give him bare chances, missing bare.
He was missing bears, bro.
Your volleys, yeah, but man can do the little side netting thing, whatever.
Of course, but he's missing bare chances though. He will miss important chances as well. That guy, yeah, in clutch moments, yeah, he was higgy. He was higgy. Nah.
When I'm looking at man's movement in and around the box,
winning season away to Liverpool, I think he scored 2.
No. He scored 1. He scored the pen.
Away to Chelsea, he scored 2. Away to City, he scored the winner.
Yeah.
He scored away to Spurs as well, if I'm mistaken.
He did score away to Spurs, but
scored at home against Liverpool, scored at home against Arsenal.
I will never forgive him for Madrid. Therefore, it's all cancelled out.
Rooney would never ever do that.
Rooney would never ever do that over 2 legs. What Van Persie done over those 2 legs, he would never do that.
Header, Van Persie.
No.
Right foot, header, don't matter. And his movement, the way he goes soft, man. And there was no athleticism about Van Persie. It was just pure elegance and just intelligence, bro. Different kind of striker, bro. You get me? When I look at 10s, yeah, my 10s that I grew up on, like the Eric Cantonas, even the Zolas and the Bergkamps, Rooney won a 10 like that. But he wasn't a 9. Like, even when I look at 9s, like the movement, like the Andy Coles and that, bro. Man say that man missed bare chances, but bro, man's movement was disgusting, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just.
I hope that every player you just named, Rooney's better than all of them.
Yeah, his all-round game, I think that, yeah, them man. But in terms of finishing, he's not better than Ruud van Nistelrooy. He's not better
I think if Rooney had the opportunity to play number 9, I think Rooney was just so good that he wasn't, you know, a number 9. Rooney was so good that it was one of those things where it would be like, all right, cool. Yeah, it would be like one of those things where it's like, all right, cool. No. It would be like
somebody comes in. It's like, oh, who am I gonna move? Rooney, please. Yeah.
You're good enough to play there. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You're good enough to play on the left while Ronaldo goes through the middle or whatever. You can kind of switch it about. You can go in the ring. You can play second striker. You can play centre mid or whatever. It's because he was just an all-round good footballer. I just think that
he did, bruv. Honestly, Rooney looks like someone that enjoys the game of football and just wants to be on the ball.
He loves the ball.
Yeah. He loves the ball. He loves the ball.
He didn't have the patience to wait.
He loves the ball.
Not that like he was too good. Bruv, he just didn't want to wait for the ball. He wanted to be involved in it. Like there's nothing. He's like a street footballer. Exactly what I was about to say. He's like a street footballer. He's like, you know, them man that, you know, they just love playing the ball. They love playing the game. They love taking man on. They like pinging the ball. That's what Neymar's trying to say. Like Neymar's not a number 9, bro. But when you look at his numbers, you would think he's a 9. But bruv, he gets on the ball bare. But the difference is Neymar's running past the ball. Neymar put man in a coffin. You know them ones there. Like you drop a shoulder and send my man back home on the bus. You know what I mean? Like when I compare Rooney to like a Neymar and that, like they don't play similarly. Do you get me? Like Neymar looks more like a 10 to me. Rooney is just a hybrid of a footballer that man ain't seen for England, and maybe we won't see another kind of player like.
We won't see another because the game's like more structured now.
Rooney looks like a street footballer, that was built like a big pub man at 16, and they just put him on the pitch, a bad man up. That's what he looked like.
Do your thing, and then he done it at senior level, which was amazing, to be honest.
Cool.
But he's different. He's a special player. You can't compare him to anyone. There is no one.
Cool. Elijah, last but not least, what was your favourite Rooney?
My favourite Rooney would be the one, I think, between like 07 and 07 to 2010, because I think that's where he combined his rawness with his efficiency, where one wasn't more than the other. So I think before then he was too raw and he wasn't he wasn't as efficient with like his passes and his scoring and stuff like that. And then afterwards it just went all the way the other way, where he was just too efficient. He wasn't as involved. He wasn't ghosting past people like he used to. So I think that's where he combined it well. And like that was where we had our most success. And when we won the league and the Champions League, whenever we really didn't play, we didn't win. Like he was that important to the team. Like even when Ronaldo was there, Tevez was there. If Rooney didn't play, we didn't win the game. And that was what I think Rooney played like 32 times that season. So there were 6 games where if Rooney didn't play, we didn't win the game.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
That shows his importance. And I think that was when there was a perfect marriage between his raw ability and the maturity in him as a player. So I think that was my favorite Rooney, and most of my favorite performances came from Rooney in that
era.
Yeah.
Cool. So Rooney obviously is Manchester United record goal scorer, England record goal scorer, but there's always a discussion about how he didn't really fulfill his full potential. One thing I don't think that's spoken enough about when we talk about Rooney is his injuries and the impact that they had on his career. So I'm just going to go through and list some of the injuries he had across his career. Then from there, we'll talk about what you guys feel when we talk about him not fulfilling his potential. Give me a second. Let me pull them up for myself. So 05-06, he had a metatarsal fracture. He was out for 45 days. 07-08, he had an Achilles tendon problem, out for 25 days. 08-09, virus, out for 17 days. 08-09, ankle, out for 3 days. 08-09, a virus again, out for 10 days. 08-09, another ankle injury, out for 32 days. 09-010, ankle injury, out for 2 weeks. 10-11, ankle injury, out for 2 weeks. 10-11, ankle injury, out for 7 days. 11-12, he had influenza. He was out for almost 3 weeks. Flesh wound, remember when he had the head wrap? 12-13, out for 28 days. Knee injury, 12-13, out for 21 days. Groin strain, 12-13, out for 11 days. 13-14, another groin strain, out for 3 weeks. 14-15, dead leg, out for 14 days. 5 problems in 15-16, out for 3 days. Ill for 4 days. Ankle again for 14 days. 15-16, 52 days with knee problems. 16-17, 7 days out for thigh muscle strain. 16-17, hamstring injury, 10 days. 16-17, knee again, 17 days. 16-17 again, ankle 17 days, and finally 17-18 knee injury out for 28 days. So he had a lengthy list of injuries all over his body. Personally, I think that took a bit out of him, and he probably declined a bit earlier than he would have. But that topic, Rooney not necessarily fulfilling his potential, obviously he came up with Ronaldo and Messi, so will forever be compared to those two. How do you guys feel about that comment about a player who's a record scorer for his club and country?
That shows how good.
If Rooney had left Man United,
like, that's it to me. Like, the fact that he's a goal scorer for club and countries, won all these accolades, performances are there, and people still think he could have been a bit more. I think that just shows how good, like, his raw ability is. And I think there are some things that hindered him a bit. Of course, there's the thing where he was so good, he was able to play in different positions, and he got moved about to fit other people in who are more specialists. There's obviously the injuries, and there's also the fact that football moved into an era where it became more stats focused. So people were looking at his numbers more and more. So it became a thing of where Rooney wasn't putting up the numbers that other top players around him were, that he grew up with. So it's like, if he's not doing that and the stats aren't there to compare, then he's not reached the heights that he should have. When really it wasn't that to me. It was just a thing of where Rooney wasn't a 9, wasn't a pure 9. He was a pure 10. He was more. If you play a 4-4-2, Rooney was that perfect, like, second striker that you have, like with a Saha or a Ruud van Nistelrooy. He was a perfect player to dovetail off. So as the game moved more towards phasing that player out, it was like Rooney was caught in between the two. So he was able to play as a 9 and was able to put numbers up, but you didn't show his full capacity as a player. And then as a 10, he was too. His starting position was too withdrawn, so he wasn't close enough to goal, and it was just like it was just caught in the middle of a formation evolution. So that's why it got to a point where Ferguson tried to phase him out with Van Persie and Kagawa, because it was like it was getting harder and harder to fit him in. He was declining physically as well. And it was just like even tactically, there was players like Welbeck who could do it more. Like, for example, the Madrid game where Welbeck was used to man mark like someone like Alonso. Back in the past, that would have been Rooney's job all over. It would have been perfect for him. So I think in terms of I think he evolved in a time where his best position got phased out, and he had to move around because he was so good that players had to fit it. Like he like you could always fit him in somewhere, so it was easy to move him about.
So he was a victim of his own kind of Swiss Army knife nature. Michael, when people say Rooney didn't fulfill his potential, are you in agreement with them, or do you think they're nuts?
No, I agree with that. He's not. What is he? Similar age to Ronaldo, and obviously, I'm not going to put him against one of the top 2 players in the world, but I kind of have to, because when they started, you put them together, isn't it? And remember, after that World Cup incident in 2006, it was a question: is Ronaldo or Rooney staying? So they were that good that they were paired against each other that one of them has to go. But obviously, fortunately, it got sorted out, so we didn't have to come to that. But after, I think, like 2012, 2013, he just started to decline. And I agree with Rance. His last 4 or 5 seasons, if he was there or not, I don't think it would have made a difference. I think his numbers weren't. Yeah, last 4 or 5 seasons, probably he could have left.
That's almost half of his Manchester United career.
No, probably. Let me.
No, but that's only a third.
No. That's probably. He could have probably left the season after the Moyes season. If he left at that season, I think we would have got the best out of him. I think the last few seasons after that, we didn't see the best of him. I don't know whether it's due to weight issues, whether he definitely lost a yard of pace. I don't know if the injuries caught up with him, but definitely a combination of all of that. he wasn't the same player as he was when he was younger. And to think at them times, he was only like 27, 28, and you'd have think he's entering his peak.
Ominous. Disu, when they say Rooney didn't fulfill his potential, where do you stand on that? You're on mute, sir.
I agree with that statement because of what Rooney was on when he first bust. Remember, Rooney first touched the scene age 16, come on against Everton, against Arsenal. So he was a big game player from birth, bro. Came against Arsenal, packed out Seaman, cycled home in a calm thing. Like,
went to play footy with his mates, actually.
Yeah, like, where have you been? Just went to go pack out some old guy in goal. You get me? You might see a match a day later, though. Like, that's what Rooney was on. And after the Euros and early Man United, people remember it looked like Rooney was actually better than Ronaldo. That's the way it looked like to me. See what I'm saying? The problem is, obviously, Rooney didn't sustain that level. He's still one of the best players in the world, no doubt. But he had that ability, that raw ability to be in that very, very top bracket. And the fact that, as Elijah said, that he achieved so much shows the levels that he was at. But I do want to kind of provide some context to his quote-unquote fall-off. Rooney has been a key first-team member in pro football. When I say key, I mean somebody that had a lot of responsibility and playing a lot of minutes from pretty much 16, 17. So he doesn't have the same career trajectory as most young players. Most young players start to get fitted in maybe 18, 19. Do you remember when Ronaldo first came? Ronaldo was getting pulled in and out of the team. You get me? Greenwood right now is out of the team. Even Messi didn't come bursting straight through from the jump. He got pulled small, and we started doing his thing. Like, and I think we see similar to Cesc Fabregas and Fernando Torres, where these are three players who are pretty much playing big first-team minutes, big responsibility. So they've got a lot of miles on their clock at an earlier date than other players. So that's probably why we've seen the likes of Fernando Torres, Cesc Fabregas, Rooney probably expire quicker than other players. And obviously, I think with the injuries to Rooney as well, that made things doubly worse. And yeah, he didn't take care of his body as well as others, because you see Rooney on holiday and he's looking nasty. You don't think that this is a pro athlete like one of the 5 to 10 best players in the world. But that's why he was so wavy. It didn't even matter, bro. I started busting everybody up with a beer belly. Like, you mad, cuz. So yeah, I think he didn't achieve potential. And the best ever English player, arguably the greatest ever Manchester United player, top goal scorer for both teams, several big games under his belt for United, home and away. When I say home, I mean in the Premier League as well as in Europe. And he still didn't reach his potential, speaks volumes to how good he is. But I do feel like just because he didn't reach his potential, people judge him against his potential. So judging him on what he actually did. And what he actually did, hella man can't chat to Rooney, like at all, whatsoever.
Word. Cool. Rooney was with us for what, 13, 14 years or so?
13, 14 years. There's too many facts here, you know. Now I'm hearing everyone speak here.
Yeah.
It's starting to make me realize, why I judge him the way I do. You know the ones. As he said, man are judging Rooney against his potential. That's what I do, innit? I judge Rooney against the Don that I saw that I was excited to watch. I stopped being excited to watch Wayne Rooney after 2010. Like, you know them ones. He didn't excite me no more. Yeah, he was efficient. Everyone talks about the season that he scored 30-odd goals. That's not why I watched Rooney, bruv. Rooney's not a poacher to me. So when Rooney's playing poacher in the box and scoring goals, that's cool, but
that's less than him. Yeah.
Like the Wayne Rooney that was running past man and duppying man, and slapping the shots in the top corner. That's the Rooney, that had me excited, bro. When you're just in the box, scoring 6-yard headers from Valencia crosses, that don't excite me because that's not the Rooney that I expect to see. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, Wayne Rooney was blockbuster. He was Hollywood, innit? But he was only Hollywood for like 4 seasons for man. So it's the same with Cristiano. Cristiano's numbers are great, but Cristiano's been crap to watch for about 6 years at least. You know them ones. Ronaldo at Manchester United, towards the end of his tenure at United, first couple
of... you off your seat. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Going past man, cutting in, chopping man up, slapping it top bins. As soon as he started scoring these headers and tap-ins, bruv, I was done with him. You know them one. Like, the numbers look good, but you're stat padding now, bro. Like, his all-around game diminished, like, massively. Do you know what I mean? His overall contribution to the team was no more than scoring goals, Ronaldo. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, man would be games where you ain't seen Ronaldo when he scored a hat-trick of pens, blood. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, that, to me, I judge man on that. Man has shown Ronaldo's numbers, but I'm like, cool, Ronaldo's been dead to watch. Ronaldo turned into a Raul box striker for like the last 6 years. A man's just scoring tap-ins, bro. Like the Ronaldo that scored the goal against Porto for Man United, that Ronaldo died time ago, bruv. Do you see what I'm saying? So, like, same with Rooney. The blockbuster Rooney, that was Starboy Rooney, that died time ago. And even though numbers-wise he was still kind of doing his thing, to me, after that season that Ronaldo left, even though the numbers were good, I could see performance-wise Rooney was not the same player. So could Ferguson. That's why he tried to sell him. Do you see what I'm saying? So I can't argue with people when it comes to Rooney's numbers because the numbers speak for themselves. He's played for a very long time. But the way man are saying it's so easy to move Rooney because he can do other things. When you're a specialist, man don't move you. Do you understand? Like, no, you're there, blood. The fact that man even thought about moving him showed you that actually he wasn't giving man 10 out of 10 here or 9 out of 10 here. Man was giving you a strong 8 here. Man was giving you a strong 8 here. A strong 8 here. But man, I think that also
Manchester United's and the Glazers, because they weren't really trying to invest. So they were able to, Ferguson's Houdini, bro. Ferguson will turn anything into magic, fam. Look at some of the teams who like the season we lost to City, yeah? Our team was basically Phil Jones, Smalling, Evra at the back. We had
Evans.
Rio was still there, right? Rio was still there, though.
Our attack was Rooney, Hernandez, and Welbeck.
Yeah.
That against...
It was a joke team.
Tevez, Aguero, Silva, Nasri. Do you know what I mean? Yaya Toure, Fernandinho. Like these, like Rooney literally drapes them, man, up there. I remember that 4-2 game. So I remember Rooney. I think Rooney scored 2, and I think Welbeck might score 2. Or was Hernandez scored 2? We went 4-2 up.
That was versus Everton.
Yeah. He scored, went 4-2. I remember Rooney was mad that game. Do you know what I mean? So I think moved around, kind of spoke to the lack of resources because really and truly, like, man should have just been ringing up. You see what I'm saying? We lost Ronaldo. We got in Owen and Valencia. Fam.
But Rooney's best position,
also Berbatov not hitting like how Berbatov was meant to hit.
That guy's a scrub, man.
But those were his numbers, though. You look at his numbers at Spurs, and that's what you got. He was what he was.
That guy was a scrub.
You know what it was? Berbatov was a baller, but he just didn't, like, for me...
He was a scrub, man.
He didn't fit for what man were trying to do, blood. And again, when man talk about Ferguson as a manager, cool. But as a tactician, he's suspect, bro. I've always said it, There's bare games where man got plan ass, blood, because man done some mad things. We would have won more Champions Leagues if tactically sometimes he got it better than he did. Like, man don't want to have this conversation, but we should have had more Champions Leagues, bro, because we had the squad, didn't it?
Yeah, we'll save that for another pod, bro. But no, I'm not gonna disagree. I'm not gonna disagree with you. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with this.
What was interesting for me was
it's the truth.
What was interesting for me was like we got rid of Van Nistelrooy because we're like, okay, we've got these two dynamic young attackers in Ronaldo and Rooney. We want them to play with Saha because we want this team to be able to get up the pitch quickly, and Ruud's gonna hold the team up. And obviously, once Tevez came in, you saw that everybody was interchanging positions. Teams couldn't even handle us on the counter attack.
Yep.
You then add Berbatov to those three. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense, and yeah.
But the man didn't sign Tevez, but man signed Berbatov and that. Cool, say nothing. You see what I mean, brother? And you know what the thing is, it's just it's unfortunate because Rooney's effectively his best position expired in football, innit? Because man weren't playing 2 up front no more. And for me, he wasn't a wavy 9.
Even though he said that, Rooney was able to be a 9 calmly because we saw basically.
But you lost something. You lost
all the people that were 9.5s, the SS type strikers. Aguero was like that. He transferred. Van Persie was like that. He transferred. Who else one I had in my head? Aguero, even Daniel Sturridge, obviously to a lesser degree, he transferred. Yeah. I think Suarez wasn't out and out 9. If I'm correct, I might be wrong.
He was on the wing for Ajax. Yeah. He was playing left wing for Ajax.
All these players, and it was a sick transformation because these men weren't like maybe the poacher types or the big target man, but because they can dribble, pass, shoot, they were mad dangerous. That's why when Rooney went 9 at first, man couldn't handle him. Yeah. He was in the box, he was long in it, but the problem is we had no quality outside of Rooney. So
I get that, but see,
Rooney back.
All the man you're comparing Rooney to, yeah, like I don't know how to explain it, yeah, but he's just stiffer than them, man. You know there was there, like when you see Aguero, like it's all like Latin and it's all, you get me? And like,
all Latin.
You know, you know, like Suarez will get the ball and then he'll just meg man and then it's all off. Rooney is all like
Suarez, you know, Suarez will bumble.
So of those four, so we're saying Rooney, Van Persie, Aguero, and Suarez. Let's rate them all strictly as number 9s.
Strictly as a 9, like just within the width of the box, yeah?
Yeah.
I like all of them. But I think that Rooney, yeah, is better than them all outside the box. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think he's got more to his game than all of them.
He's not better. He's not better than Suarez.
No, what I'm saying is, hear me out. I'm talking about, yeah, not dribble. Just hurries, man, and then megs, man, when their legs ain't even open, yeah? Like, Rooney can't do that. Do you see what I mean? That's why, for me, Rooney's not really like a 10 like that, but then he's not a 9 like that, bro. But Rooney can spray a ball, though.
I think Suarez is the best of all of them.
I mean, Rooney can pass. Rooney can pick a man out on all these things, whereas these other men ain't known for that. Do you know what I mean? But Aguero in the box is an absolute gun, man, bro. Like, he's absolute...
I actually think Van Persie might be... Suarez.
Van Persie is the perfect 9.5 for me because he's got enough outside the box and enough inside, and he brings people into play. He can play.
You know what? That's a hard filter. I actually think as a 9, Rooney's the worst out of all of them.
But that's what I'm trying to say to you, bruv. As a 9.
Nah, he's definitely the worst. I think as a 9, I'm taking Suarez, Aguero, Van Persie.
I don't feel comfortable having Van Persie third, you know.
Van Persie's first. Van Persie's first still.
Van Persie and Aguero for me can chill together in it, but Suarez is a demon. I don't like him.
Yeah,
he's a demon.
Yeah.
And the worst thing about Suarez is, man, see how good Suarez is. Huh?
If you got Suarez's numbers at Barca, it looks completely.
No. Suarez outscored Messi in. Yeah. There was a season where Suarez outscored Messi. Like that guy.
Suarez's goals.
Suarez
different.
Though. Messi, I'll give you a cheeky year still. Like you can have the 55.
You know what it is with Suarez for me? Man, talk about Suarez. Everyone's obsessed with numbers. Suarez is a dog, bro. He chases him down, yeah. And man wet themselves and give him the ball, blood. How many goals has he scored? He's run down the defender, and then man have just nicked it from man. He's a dog. He's a dog, bro. Them other strikers don't have that. Rooney had it for a little while, yeah. We were chase man to
Tevez had that, innit?
Yeah, Tevez as well. But Suarez was a dog, bro. He chased that ball like you owed him money, blood. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When he had the ability to go with it. Do you know what I'm saying? As an out-and-out 9, Rooney's the worst of all of them. And that's what I mean about Rooney when he moved into that position where he was R9 and he scored the 30-odd goals. It was great. But for me, he wasn't an elite 9. Do you know what I'm saying? He got the goals because we played a certain way and he was taking his chances, bruv. But in my head, when I'm thinking elite 9s, I'm comparing him to Lewandowski, I'm comparing him to Aguero, I'm comparing him to Suarez. I have to compare him to that, bruv, because man talk about him, they call him the White Pele, so I got to compare you to legends, bro.
Yeah, Rooney's playing a Pele for the record, by the way.
Yeah, but come on, Pele was playing against goat herders, innit? Man, I don't rate Pele, blood. Like, that's gas, fam. Like, there's no video evidence that any of this ever happened. Like, you know, like that. Nah, bro. Pele's a fraud, fam. I don't play for Cosmos before any MLS existed. Were they even a Cosmos, blood?
Welbeck clears Pele, bro.
Bro, nah, Pele's a fraud. Man said 1,000 goals, bro. Man was counting under 8 goals on that.
Cool. I want to touch on a couple of things before we wrap up here. So obviously Rooney was with us for so long. I want you guys to come together and pick out his 5 best partnerships throughout his time at Manchester United. So we'll start with the one that you think is the best, and then we'll go all the way down. So who do you think was his best partnership?
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Does Ronaldo count?
Partnership. I think that the Trinity they're the goats in it of my whole life. Yeah, that's the best attacking that we've ever seen, bro.
So you got a point.
Does Ronaldo count as a partnership, or does it have to be Ronaldo and?
It
however you
The
not want
trio.
to. It's however you
Trio.
not want to put
It's
it.
a trio.
I'm fine. So that trio is
It
your
was
favorite.
trio.
Yeah,
So
but
Yeah.
remember, Ronaldo and Tevez, Ronaldo and Rooney were doing. Tevez was there for 2 years.
Mm.
Remember,
Yeah.
Ronaldo already matched work from before that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
This team is what took man to the next
yeah,
level.
Tevez came to Koto, like, do you want a couple of titles? Come eat a couple.
Cool. So are we going with the three, or are we going with Ronaldo and Rooney?
I'm gonna go Ronaldo, Rooney, then Rooney, Tevez.
Okay, Ronaldo, Rooney, then Rooney. Tevez.
Technically, Ronaldo wasn't playing up top with Rooney. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
that's
But
what I mean.
but to be fair, the season before, him and Ronaldo were mashing work versus Roma, Bolton. Those goals, those counterattacks, like
They were a partnership, even though they weren't
and
really a partnership.
Ronaldo really combining, and it is insane.
yeah, no. Them two together was fake. Like
Okay.
how the world allowed that to happen?
So say
Never
Ronaldo
again,
with,
fam.
The way they mash work on Arsenal, yeah.
Fam, they loved it. Really loved it versus Arsenal. I've never seen a player hate Arsenal that much before. I don't know what they done to him, but from 16, he said, nah.
Even
Fam, that
mashing work. Even at Everton, when you went back to Everton, he still packed out.
fam,
Was it Czech?
fam, that guy dived to break their whole unbeaten record. Yeah, he hated them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Even one of his best performances would be the 8-2 versus Arsenal, where that team
was
shagged
fake.
him. Rooney should have had at least 10 assists, bro, and like 5 goals, bro. My man was on a rampage, bro. Rooney was on a super rampage that game, bro. Like, bare man missed bare chances that day.
For no reason at all. That was basically Arsenal C team, but it was for fuck it, fam. I'm on it.
I'm riding that regardless. So I'm riding that regardless.
There was one goal he scored against Hull. I think it was a game he scored 4 in. Yeah, they had a player who was injured on the floor.
And he packed it in. He packed it. That's what I meant to bring. I meant to bring that up, you know. I meant to bring that up, bro. Fam, the player was on the floor, yeah. Rooney smashed it top bins. That's elite mentality, bro. That's elite
when
mentality,
that
bro.
guy is ruthless, he is ruthless. Like, nothing can stop him.
Fam, even his first goal against Everton, he celebrated like mad. I said, this is the guy I need.
Fam, he was trying to go like this.
He's going like this,
like,
bro.
what?
He was Everton. He just moved. Bro,
Fam.
nah, really.
Nah. Elite.
That would be the Rooney that I compare his whole career to, bro. That's why I feel like he let me down, fam. That's why honestly, like, man can show me all the numbers and that, bro. I judge players on performances, innit? Like, game for game. Like, there's loads of players. Like, even when I used to give Rashford a hard time here, the reason why I did is because even though he was scoring pens, his overall game was shocking, bro. Because I watched the whole game. I don't care if man scored the winning goal, the winning pen, bro. I'm like, bro, you stunk the place out, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm with White.
Fuming right now, man.
Rashford is this guy still.
No, but honestly, like,
Rashford,
when you look at Rashi, yeah,
my
like,
boy, bro.
When you look at Rashford, yeah, like before, like him and Martial, like they clearly needed each other, innit? Because we were going through a period where Rashford weren't playing well and he was scoring penalties, bro. But his overall game was not good when he was playing down the middle. It wasn't. Do you know what I mean? And bare man were going on like he was doing this because they're like, oh, he's on course to have his best season. And I said, bro, forget that. Watch the game, innit? The performance he's putting on from the left now, even if he's not scoring, he's playing miles better than he was playing when he was down the middle.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, no, 100%. But that's definitely a mark of a player, though, because you got to think about it. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's Rashford went through a long stint where he was moving a bit weird. Like, he was definitely moving a bit weird. But for me,
interesting way of playing.
Yeah.
That guy was on drugs.
Listen, but what I do here is I kind of say, all right, cool. The reason why I didn't lose hope here is because I saw what he done when he first burst on the scene and how he was moving and certain things he was doing. I was just like, that's just a mark of a player. Even the Arsenal match, I don't even know if he scored. Did he score against Arsenal when he first burst on the scene? Not too sure, but he played up front, lone striker. It was absolutely amazing, bruv. Like, one of the best like centre forward like performances from a Man United player. Absolutely amazing, running them ragged as an 18-year-old. So for me, I kind of brought everything into context. I'm looking at the managers, I'm looking at who we're playing with, and I'm just like, fam, okay, cool. He's playing. He's not playing good. Fair enough, yeah. But I can't write him off, bruv. If you're doing that at 18, I can't write you off. And then now we're seeing my man's playing off the left, and it's not a thing of he's just playing off the left. It's about freedom. It's about not having to track back your bloody right back. He was playing left wing back for Jose. Bruv, he's not playing left wing back now, bruv. My man's playing left wing. He's doing less work and he's confident. And one of the main things I always used to say is he's lacking confidence. I always used to say that on a pod. People used to laugh like, fam, Rashford is 100% a confidence player. When he's a confidence player, he thinks he can do anything. When he was playing rubbish, he would try to do certain things and it wasn't coming off. And everybody's like, Rash, keep it simple, whatever. But he can do it. He just isn't confident right now. And then when we see, especially this season, the performance against Spurs, absolutely spiritual. Bruv, my man was playing against Aurier and Sissoko and dumped on both of them. That is elite mentality, bro.
What you're saying, but what I'm saying is, bro, like, man need to not judge performances on numbers only. This is my biggest argument. A lot of football fans, every time you say to them a player's not playing well, they say, yeah, but look, he scored 12 and his GA is this and GA.
Yeah, I don't do all of that.
These numbers, I'm like,
I don't do it. That's all
the letters, innit, bruv? Don't give me those. I was sitting there in the Sir Alex Ferguson stand and my man was stinking out the place, bruv. Don't tell me. Do you see what I'm saying? So a lot of men don't realise that a lot of footballers have brilliant games, but because they don't score, you don't talk about them.
Yeah, it's a quality aspect of it. It's like when people talk about, it's like when people call like Zidane a fraud. It's like,
there
bro,
you go.
watch
when man is saying the season after Ronaldo left, he scored 32, and that's cool. But you see what I saw with my eyes in 2008, 2009, in 2012, I wasn't seeing that no more. I don't care what the stat sheets are saying. Do you get what I'm saying? It's the same with Rashi. Like what I was seeing with my eyes when he was playing up front for us and he was playing rubbish, bruv, and he was scoring pens. What I'm seeing with my eyes now, he's playing on the left. He's a different player. Even if he scores less goals now, man can't tell me that he's not at least 3 times better now. Because he is, bro. When he's playing up front, he was doing a lot of running, but nothing was sticking when it was going up to him. And he looked frustrated, bruv. And he was just trying to flick the ball on and do dumb things, bruv. You see what I'm saying?
That guy up front, never again, man. Never again.
There you go.
Yeah.
How long were man saying Rashford was a striker? Then when we played
Nah. I was never hearing it, man. I never understood it, but nah, man.
But
yeah,
I'm saying with football, sometimes what you see, like I'll always trust the eye test before man start throwing paperwork at me. Man can't tell me that the Cristiano that's scoring all 50 odd goals in a calendar year was better than the Cristiano, that was scoring less goals but was mashing work and putting man on the floor, bruv. He was tearing groins with step overs and that. Ronaldo ain't done a step over in like 5 years, bruv. Ronaldo gets the ball.
His roles changed, didn't it?
Ronaldo's stingy with the step overs now. Touch and bang. Everything's just touch and bang. Man's hitting the ball.
He's looking for the
those last seasons at Man U and the first couple of season and a bit were probably the best Ronaldo to watch, and then he just
and then
just became that efficient.
Them numbers. You got paid with it, man.
Take out all the trickery. I just need to get to the goal as quickly as possible, and I need to get the ball in the back of the net. But to finish our top 5, so we've got Ronaldo and Rooney first, Rooney and Ronaldo first, Rooney and Tevez second. Who would be your final 3, lads?
Rooney and
Van Persie. Van Persie next.
Van Persie next.
Over Rooney and Van Nistelrooy.
The reason why I say Van Persie next year is because of the lack of the team. The team behind them, man, were bummy, bruv. Like, do you know what I mean? And that
just the partners, but just the relationship between the two players.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why it's worth it.
That Aston Villa goal.
Yeah,
I was behind the goal for that, bro.
It was fake. That Aston Villa goal was one of my favourite goals.
I was behind the goal, bro. It was amazing, bro.
The telepathy is mad. Come on.
There was that
you
goal.
Even look up, he already released it. Yeah.
There was also the goal versus Reading as well, where Van Persie done that little flick to Rooney to put him through, and then he slotted it in.
Inside the foot. Yeah.
That partnership was good stuff. Yeah, third.
Okay, so what, 4th is Rooney and Rude, yeah?
Yeah, Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
And then who would be 5th?
Hernandez for me.
Hernandez.
I thought If I was going to see
Really don't rate Berber at all, you know.
That guy was a bum, man. That guy was a bum.
Nah, Berber had the touch of a god, blood. Man,
trust me. First time on
touch,
20
man.
on Football Manager.
Get that, mate. Nah. Do you know what? Yeah, that guy's a fraud because that season when he scored 20 goals, yeah, 15 goals came in 5 games, yeah. Nah. This guy,
ridiculous.
This guy scored 5 goals in the other 28 games. That guy was so ridiculous. Bad. That's why. Nah. He got me so mad.
Reading off numbers, bro. Like when you.
No. I don't care because that guy, yeah. That is the whole reason why he was not in the squad for the Champions
League final. Yeah.
I think he weren't in the squad, yeah, because ultimately I think Ferguson thought that Berbatov was the kind of player he wanted, but he wasn't. You know what I mean?
He was
like
bummy.
the Varane thing, bruv. He bugged it out. Varane wasn't dead. He wasn't dead. It's just that man couldn't fit.
He was bummy because because let's look at it. He put Owen on the bench over Berbatov. That's a big shame. In your biggest scoring season for the club, someone Owen, like who basically hadn't played football in like 7 years, was on the bench over you in a Champions League final because he didn't do it in the big games. Like he had one big game performance versus Liverpool where he scored a hat-trick. Fair enough. Other than that, he done nothing in the big games for United. He missed in the semi-final versus like Everton. There was no other big games where he proper showed out. Like you can't count on him. Like he was never a good partner for Rooney. He wasn't even a good part. He just wasn't.
Berber was just happy to be there, bro. Man had like a little sauce on that. Man had like a couple. Man was just like a young drip. Man had a young drip, and then
30 million, bro. Really, 30 million. Back in
it's done like it's like Tammy Abraham or something. This is
no. He was a wavy player. But get that guy out of my club, man. Nah.
I said he was wavy, but get him out still. I want to have an honourable mention for Rooney in Valencia. He fed Rooney.
He fed Rooney still.
Rooney and Nani.
Yeah,
Rooney hated Nani though.
Nani was the fake merchant, bruv. Instead of him to just cross it in first time, man will be trying to do Ronaldo stuff. Man will be chopping. Brother. Ronaldo's he's not here, bro.
I love Nani. I love
that
guy. But him and Rooney, they used to beef. Like Rooney used
to loved him. Fergie loved him.
Fergie loved Nani because he thought like, I'm gonna make another Ronaldo, bro. But really and truly,
something else. He was a creator, man. He was creator first and foremost. Lovely ability.
Cool.
And he's another one that loved Arsenal as well.
Oh,
he loved it.
He loved it.
That Boué thing. Remember that Boué thing?
Oh yeah. Moved to the store.
Cool. So let's finish up now with some listeners' questions, lads. I'll whiz through the questions. Quite a few. I'll start off with a question from Harry Adams. Well, if you could take any version of Rooney and put him into this current United team, which would it be? What season and what position?
Got to be the goal scorer, man. We need goals. We need goals right now. Bro.
I don't know.
We need goals right now.
That's hard, man.
I don't know. Personally, I would pick the 08, 09 Rooney because I think he could fit in on the right hand side.
I'm not putting Rooney right for Anthony Martial. No, let's be serious.
Hey, fam, go from Amberton, Uncle Rooney, Wayne for Anthony Martial.
It's 9 a.m., bro. It's 9 a.m.
Brother.
It's 9 a.m.,
bro. Nah, impossible, bro. For Anthony, 2 gloves, Martial, impossible. Yeah, there's no way.
2 gloves.
I'm not having no Tony slander, bro.
Nah, there's no way. See, you're a bit, you're a man that likes drip and that. You like man that can do a couple step overs and he like rants likes the drip and that, bro.
That's legit.
Inside and he whips that top bins, bro.
Exactly. You see,
What, really?
Rance knows.
Rooney's prime over Martial.
Don't talk to Anthony like that.
So, lads.
Rooney's prime over Martial. I don't think
Let's come to a consensus. Which Rooney are we putting?
But you're talking about Rooney's versatility, innit? Like, Rooney.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No. Like, he's goal scoring Rooney over Martial's best season.
Of course.
I'm putting 2011 Rooney, bro, because we need to bang goals.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
09,
It has to be 08 Rooney, 08, 09 Rooney for anyone. Who cares, bruv? That was the best Rooney for me, bruv. Yeah, we need goals and all that, but fam, like, we need to create goals, innit? Like, right now, yeah, we weren't.
That Rooney will score goals anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
Boom. Like, young Rooney was scoring goals, blood. Do you know what I mean?
He got 20 goals that season.
And these defenders now are mad hickey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Rooney would bully these men.
I've got another question.
Man.
I've got another question from Drakir AJ. Excluding the more obvious choices, so that your Pogbas and your Rashfords and your Martials, which current player gives or has given you the most entertainment recently in a United shirt?
Bye.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Bye, bro. It's Bye.
Yeah, no, Bye's a madness still. He's been
Bye
probably
is the most entertaining defender in world football.
Believe it or not, yeah, his PSG performance, one of my top 5 Bye moments. Have you ever seen a man, look so lost and then decide after 20, I'm off, man, I'm cutting, I'm not doing this no more? I know for a fact, Ollie did not do no tactical work with him. Listen, you're playing on the right, just defend, innit? Man was getting overlapped on a madness. He didn't know what was going on. Am I coming? Am I going? Am I going left? He's bumping into guys. Like, he didn't know what. He looked at it, I can't do this for another hour. I'm coming off, man. Gaffer.
That guy, he has 2 of the worst defense performances I've ever seen in my life, because Newcastle and PSG, on my life, that guy was on Nah. But then he can have a performance versus Liverpool or versus Chelsea where he's basically the best player on the pitch. You don't know what to like.
Frustrating.
It's so frustrating, but man, that guy's so good to watch, man. That Cruyff turn in the box versus Chelsea, it's still in my veins, man. It's still in my veins, man. Hey, I eat off that every day.
We're under pressure, though. Fuck it. Let me give them something. Man. We've got a question from
Boy against Kovacic.
What's that? That tackle.
Chelsea. When Kovacic got put through on goal, when he came from nowhere.
That tackle, fam.
That block was
fake.
He's fake. I'll go back and check it. I got a question from Boyum9895. If Messi and Rooney played with each other at any point in their careers, would they complement each other? That's at United, not at Barcelona.
But Rooney will compliment everyone because he just does the dog.
They would love it, fam.
Yeah, well, they wanted him, innit? So
them 2 would have a drink up, bro.
These are 2 football geniuses, so it would have been calm.
They would have.
Where would they have played though? Like, I agree with everyone. Like, them 2, their brains are correct. But where would they have played?
Rooney would have played off the left, and Messi would have been doing the false 9, which he was doing at that time, innit? So
both of them up top and inshallah, fam. That's it. Just go with that.
They both like to drop as well, you know.
Yeah,
fam. That would have run.
Rooney's the perfect other guy for anyone because he just picks up the slack, innit?
He'll put up his numbers, quality performances, and once in a while when you need him to be your actual best player on the pitch, he'll be your best player. Overqualified other guy. Got a question from Mukumoya. How do you view Rooney's legacy in the Prem, Europe, globally? So obviously we've spoken from the United perspective, but what do you think his legacy on football is? He didn't dominate an international tournament. He is England's all-time top scorer. He won the Champions League, played in a couple finals, played in 3 finals, scored in one of them. What do you think Rooney's legacy is? He's gone to play in America. He's in the Championship now.
I think when I think about like the Champions League as well, the Champions League stuff, I feel like it's definitely underrated because especially when I was looking back at the goals, you look at some of the winners, you look at the Milan performance, absolutely phenomenal. Like some of the performances, even like Barca, the goal against Barca, where it was getting slapped up, like that was a goal of like pure desire. When we talk about Chelsea, we're slapping up Chelsea in the first half, and he also was the assist for Ronaldo, right? If I'm correct.
No, that was a Brown.
Brown was Brown. Okay, well,
Brown.
Rooney was just kind of like slapping up Chelsea in the first half. For me, I feel like he's had really, really good performances. It's just, again, unfortunate that we didn't win more Champions Leagues. So that's why he'd probably, like, people may feel like his European career might have been, you know, a bit underwhelming. But if you kind of look at the games and you look at certain, you know, winners and stuff like that, first game, hat-trick, like, come on, bro. Like, yeah, I mean, like, for me, I feel like he's done well.
I think with Rooney, like, I think Rooney and Van Nistelrooy have the same amount of goals, but with Rooney, I think his goals were just more important because
key goals,
yeah, because you can think about the 2 versus Milan in the semi-final, scored versus Bayern in the quarterfinal, Chelsea in the quarterfinal, Barcelona in the final.
Don't forget, it took Rooney 12 years to score them goals, blood. Don't ever forget.
And Nistelrooy didn't score in the knockout stages. He barely done anything.
We didn't win the Champions League with Van Nistelrooy, by the way. So let's.
Yeah, we didn't, and we also it's the same with his Premier League, brother. He never won 5 Premier Leagues either. Do you know what I mean? But man,
that's why Rooney's better.
Man still mashed hella work, bro, and some of the goals.
Yeah, it's easy to mash hella work when you're offside all the time and you're just chilling there. And the penalty is
wow,
let's not go too far, man.
No.
We're not doing this today, man. We're not doing this today.
I'm willing to risk it, bro. I'm willing to risk it, bro.
Manipur is my guy.
We'll add this to the Fergie pod that may or may not ever get done. Yeah.
Wow.
So, all the other questions are things we've covered. So people asking about the contributing factors that led to the early decline of Rooney. Also, people asking who he was the best partner was. So we've covered all those questions on this pod. So I want to thank you all for coming through rants. Thank you for coming through, brother. Always welcome. Disu, respect. Seb, always a pleasure. Elijah, any reason why you have that background? Have you had the opportunity to think about it? Yes, no?
It's 9 a.m. innit? So press conference and that. The background makes sense.
Michael, once again, thank you very much for coming through. All right, lads, take care, man. Stay safe.
Cheers.
Peace.
When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.